Hi, my name's Stefan. I'm with GoBeyond, and GoBeyond is the top place to turn your e-commerce stores into a chatbot automatically and increase your sales using AI. And today I'll be speaking with Greg Jameson from the web stores, and he's going to be giving us his top advice on how to increase your Shopify revenues and what are like the 2 or 3 most important things, the biggest factors in determining e-commerce success. So Greg, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Great. Thanks, Stefan. I have been basically working in the internet space since 1995, kind of the very beginning of the internet. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the early internet really didn't have very good capability for was e-commerce. Mm-hmm. And as a result of that, I ended up building some of my own e-commerce platforms, custom stores for people in the early ages, and have built upon some of that over the years to actually create applications that people still use to this day in terms of ordering online for wholesale applications in particular. Mm-hmm. This, of course, has grown as e-commerce has grown and things have become a whole lot easier for many store owners to actually get into the e-commerce space. And I've pretty much worked with most of the major platforms that are out there, whether it be a Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, all of the big players. I've built stores for people on different platforms and continue to do that to this day.
That's awesome. I mean, I remember the internet back in the early 90s, and it's nothing like it is today. And it kind of reminds me, it gives me like some balance is how things were and how quickly we've gotten here. And as it relates to bots and AI, how quickly we're going to evolve from what bots are today, which is kind of like these little conversational experiences that are really in the baby stage. And how quickly they're going to end up developing into this, I don't want to say her, but it'll get closer and closer to that. Or Jarvis.
It's amazing how quickly internet technology has evolved, and it continues to change, whether it be from a security standpoint or from the user experience standpoint with e-commerce stores, or like you're talking about here with bots and the ability for humans to interact with machines. What we're seeing today is going to be totally different than what we're seeing 5 years from now.
Right. And then even in the next 5 years, I think it's going to totally be revolutionized. I think next 5 or 10 years, we're having a number of technologies that's converging. AI, chatbots, AR, VR, just to name a few. So, and blockchain. So, but for today, let's talk a little bit more about e-commerce. And I know that this is something that you specialize in. You've been doing it since 1995, which is a very long time. Probably you were doing it before Walmart was doing
it. Yeah, and actually before Amazon too.
Before Amazon, yeah. So that's crazy. What would be your top 2 or 3 tips for either someone starting a e-commerce store, or maybe they want to take their current e-commerce store to the next level? What do you think are the 2 or 3 most important factors in success?
Okay, so there's several things that are really important for store owners, and they aren't that hard to implement. One is basically giving people enough information that they can make a buying decision.
Okay.
It absolutely amazes me how many people will go out there and they are reselling products from someone. They've got a manufacturer out there, and they are bringing this stuff in, and they take the manufacturer's description and the manufacturer's pictures, and that's what they post on their website. Well, their website then ends up looking and behaving just like everybody else's website out there that's selling that same product. So you really have to differentiate yourself, and the best way to do that is to put your own descriptions in there, your own videos, your own pictures, and really explain to the customer, just as if they walked into a physical store, explain to the customer, hey, this is why I think this product is the best in this particular category. And when you give people that kind of information, then they can actually make a buying decision on it.
Mm-hmm. What do you, what do you
Go
think?
ahead.
Yeah, what do you think are the most important factors when a customer comes into a store for the first time, and they're deciding whether to buy or not to buy something? So they're reading that product description. What kind of things should they have in that description? What kind of buttons do you need to press, I guess?
The best thing to do is to actually figure out who your buyer persona is ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Some people call this an avatar.
Yes.
But if you know exactly who it is that you're selling to, then what you can do is you can turn around and write that description or put together a video script geared exactly towards your customer. Mm-hmm. So when you do that, if let's say that you are have a store that you're gearing towards soccer moms.
Okay.
And you know that your soccer mom is between the age of 30 and 45, for example. Mm-hmm. Well, you now know a whole lot about that person. Here's a gal that lives in suburbia. She's really into her kids, and she wants to get them active outside and so forth. So you can now write your descriptions about your products exactly that way. Hey, when you're about to take your kid to soccer practice, maybe what you need is a good net in the back of your car that's going to keep everything in place. Whatever it is you're selling, but you're able to write that description specifically towards that one customer, and that can make a huge difference than just saying cargo net for the back of your car.
I see. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of this concept of you're selling the benefit of the benefit. If you've ever heard of it, like when you're selling something, you're not selling the world's best seed. You're always selling the world's best lawn.
Yeah.
Right. And we see this on our site too when we've made bots for companies, and that is that a lot of times customers will actually write to the bot in stories. They'll tell them a story that happened to them, opposed to giving the bot a command to do something. An example of this is a bot we made a long time ago for a HR company. And what we were noticing was, you would think that people would say, oh, I want June 21st to 24th off for vacation, right? Which is one way to say it. Another way to say it might be, hey, I'm sick. Right? Or people might tell a story. They might say, I just got married. Okay? Like from an HR perspective, I just got married has a whole bunch of ramifications. That means you have to update your W-2s, you have to update your benefits, you have to update all these different things just because you got married, right? Instead of them saying, I need to update my W-2s, I need to update my benefits, I need to update my insurance. Instead, they just say it in one sentence, I'm getting married. And as humans, we think in these stories. So I think anytime do you see that when your description, your product description, like for the soccer mom, if it reflects her story about, her motivations, maybe she, her goal is to take little Johnny to play, and then maybe he scores 2 or 3 goals. And if he wears these new fancy Nike cleats, maybe Johnny will score more.
Yeah.
The story
stories are huge. I think that most shop owners could actually easily incorporate stories into their product descriptions. I think people tend to get intimidated sometimes and think, oh, I shouldn't have a very long description because people aren't going to read it.
Yeah.
But the fact is that longer sales copy tends to sell better than shorter sales copy does. Mm-hmm. And if you put enough detail in there so that your customer can make the buying decision, that's better. And longer copy tends to do that. No reason to not put a story in there. You can put a video in there and tell your story through the video and just, embed the video right into the product description so that if people want to watch it, they can. But yeah, stories are big.
Mm-hmm. What would you say is the ideal amount of length for a product description? What's too long? What's too short? What's just right?
The proper answer to that is whatever makes the most sales. And that's going to vary from product to product and customer to customer. I know that, if you just look at what Google likes to see on a page for years, longer pages ranked higher in Google. You had 2,000 words.
That's right.
And there's no reason for your product descriptions to not be 2,000 words. If people don't want to read the whole thing, guess what? They won't read the whole thing. But they will find the information in there that they do want. Some people will read it. Other people, if you put your specifications in there and you tell people exactly how big something is and how much it weighs and, the amount of strength you can put into this product, whatever it is, the diameter of the lens, all of these different things that really make up the details of the product. Some people will just gravitate towards the specifications. Hey, I want to know, does it do this particular thing? Or does it have this big of a hard drive, whatever. Other people like the flowery descriptions. I'd put it all in there.
Got it.
Give people lots of information.
And then the unintended hidden benefit is that it also has a better chance of ranking on Google.
Yeah.
Okay. This reminds me of, if you remember, they used to have a lot of internet marketers in the early 2000s used to have the single page marketing websites that would just endless scroll.
The long form sales letter, yeah.
Yeah, and I know most people don't know this, but this reminds me of like the long form sales letter, like the ones that they used to have way back in the day where they'd come to your house and they'd like leave this binder and it was sales copy and it was really long and you might read the 20-page binder because it was really good, well written. And
and one of the interesting things about this, talking about needing to have lots of information is it really comes into play with what you're talking about with bots and stuff too, is because if people don't have that information, then maybe the solution is to put all those answers into an automated chatbot.
Right, and that's from how I'm seeing the space evolve. It's really exciting for me because I'm kind of seeing that same evolution. So I remember the endless scroll in the early 2000s, right? And I remember how it was just one page, and this one page might have like 10,000 or 20,000 words on it. It was those sales copies were that long. And then, we went to a very like mobile focused design. And a lot of these big companies like Facebook, Google, etc., they copied this pattern. And now you have the endless scroll on your Facebook feed. They took that same idea that these marketers were having such success with, and they implemented them in their own products. And now you see this endless scroll everywhere. You can't not see it somewhere. Now the problem with it a little bit is that the good thing is that you have interesting content and you're going down the page and it's giving you really interesting, fun information that's easy to read and digest. And then at the same time trying to solve your objections, right? With a bot, we could automate a lot of this because if you say that it costs too much, then you could send someone down a flow that addresses that objection of it costs too much, or I don't have enough time, or what size is this? Whatever those questions are, or whatever those objections are that you face from time to time, the bot could automatically respond and naturally take the person down from like awareness to desire to decision.
Yeah. So you had asked a question earlier about multiple things that were important to people, and obviously another one of those things is customer testimonials. And in these long-form sales letters, that's frequently what you would see is you'd scroll down to the bottom of these, and then all of a sudden there would be, half a dozen customer testimonials there. Well, testimonials are a huge factor in getting people to make a buying decision. And again, that is something that you might want to have when you scroll down on the page. You might want to have it in a tab there on your product page, or you may want to include it in your chat bot. Somebody starts asking a question of the bot and they say, well, what experiences have other people had with this? Now you can provide them the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
So, testimonials are another huge factor in all this.
And is there any tips you have around testimonials? I'll leave it at that. I know it's like social proof is like one of the most important things. I think that it would be almost impossible, if not really hard, to sell a product, say on Shopify, if it had 0 reviews, right?
Yeah, when you and I have talked earlier here about the store owner might actually be the expert in the topic of whatever it is that they're selling,
Mm-hmm.
but the customer knows that you have written this copy and that you're trying to sell them something.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a third party out there that is endorsing this product and they're telling another customer why they should buy the product, that goes a long ways. And the same thing if they tell a customer why they shouldn't buy the product. And frequently, I think that customers, I know for a fact that customers value other people's opinions more than they do that of the store owner. Mm-hmm. And so you want to have all of those reviews in there. One of the things that Amazon learned early on is don't take out the negative reviews because it makes it more authentic.
Yeah.
And obviously, if the review is out there slandering somebody and putting a bunch of curse words in there and all of that stuff, you need to pull those out of there. But if somebody is out there saying, hey, the little pin on this thing broke the second time that I used it, you need to be careful about it. Well, the customer might say, you know what, I can live with that, but he appreciates the honesty type thing. And so you leave the negative reviews in there. Maybe it helps the manufacturer, it'll help the customer, and you want to obviously have your products end up with somewhere between a 3.75 and a 5-star review, but in terms of the average. But I've written a couple of books on internet marketing, and it kind of hurts when somebody leaves a 1-star review about something that you poured your heart and soul into. Yeah. But if I've got 55-star reviews and one 1-star review, it's like, you know what? So it didn't resonate with that person, and it makes the average look more realistic anyway. So put them all up.
Put them all up. Okay. And is there like a certain number, a threshold of reviews that you should have? For example, like having 1 5-star review probably it's a lot better than having no reviews, but it's probably not that convincing, right? Because having 1 5-star review is like anyone can get that. So is there a threshold in the number? And then after you hit that threshold, it's like anything over that amount doesn't make a difference really because you've already convinced the person?
Yeah, and it's hard, I think, for small shops to actually even reach that threshold. The threshold for Amazon tends to be 30 reviews now. 30
reviews, okay.
And so if you're selling product on Amazon, you really do want to get to 30 reviews. And, like I said, you probably want 20 of those to be 5-star reviews and 5 of them to be 4-star reviews, and then live with the handful of negative ones that come in there. But on a lot of small shops, if you get a half a dozen reviews on a product in the first place, then you're actually doing pretty good. And probably the best thing to do is simply when you ship the product out to those people, put a postcard in with the order saying, hey, we'd really appreciate you reviewing this product. And if you do that, we'll give you a 10% off your next order or something in order to kind of entice them to leave a review.
Exactly. So one of the things that the GoBeyond chatbot does for Shopify, for e-commerce stores, is that after the person has received their product, the bot will automatically ask them what their experience was and what they would rate it. It asks them for a review. And if they give it a positive review, it could post it for you. It'll send it to the store owner. We also ask for video reviews. That's something that we're experimenting with a little bit. So, for example, let's say that I bought this blue shirt right here. Imagine if I could actually take a video of me wearing it, and I can tell you something like, I'm 6'2", 185. This is medium sized. It gives you a whole lot more information on what it looks and feels like when you see someone actually wearing the garment or using the sunglasses or using the lens in their camera, right? So that's one of the things that we're playing around with, where we're using the bot to increase the number of reviews for stores, and then also give them even more quality information and feedback back.
Yeah, I was talking to a gentleman the other day that was had a product, and Google doesn't like this anymore because they call it review gating, but basically, if somebody leaves a positive review, a 4 or 5 star review, it posts the review. If they leave a negative review, it alerts the shop owner that this person left a negative review, so that you can address the issue with them one-on-one, as opposed to just posting a negative review.
I see.
And then you have the choice, I guess, of, I'm going to go ahead and post it type thing, but at least it allows you to address whatever the issue is, rather than just having negative reviews out there slamming you.
Right. And I think at the end, I think that ends up being a lot more fair, because obviously, things happen in business. You if you're a Shopify store, maybe your shipping is late by 3 days and you pissed the guy off, or maybe he ordered the wrong size. So
yes.
Yeah.
So the fact is, we're all human and we're all relying on technology. So
right.
Yeah, things happen.
So what's your what would be your third tip? Your third biggest tip for Shopify store owners?
I think that the whole customer experience is a big part of this, and that includes, how much are you charging for shipping? Are you providing free shipping? How easy is the checkout process? Is it something where I have to jump through 17 pages to check out? And there are stores out there that do that. I'm not going to mention any names, but I was actually on a website this morning that I've used in the past, and I used them again just because of their pricing, but they literally
17 steps.
Keep trying to upsell you during the checkout process. Wow. And you have to answer. It's not just once. Once is okay, I think. Yeah. It's okay, you ordered this, maybe you'd like that. But when you say no, you ought to be ready to check out, instead of, well, if you didn't like that offer, maybe you'd prefer this one. And they just keep going at it. You don't want to do things that turn your customers off, is the point. You want to make it easy for them to be able to get in, poke around your store, and buy stuff and check out. One of the things that you and I were talking about before is maybe the whole ability for doing some testing on this. It's not that hard to do. Put some people in a room with a camera and ask them to try to buy stuff on your website and see where they start scratching their head.
Right. And I mean, on our side, this is something we do frequently. Right now, we have a case study program with Shopify agencies and a number of Shopify stores. And what we do is we're running a number of experiments where we're seeing what type of experiences increase revenue the most, essentially using the chatbot. So I think anytime you're creating something where other people are going to use it, you can't be taking guesses on how they're going to be using it. It's better just to get feedback from them. It ends up being a lot cheaper as well. You build it once the right way on the front end, instead of taking a guess, being wrong, iterating, being wrong, iterating, So I couldn't agree more. I wish more people would do that, even when making products.
Yeah, testing's huge.
yeah, and I think it's almost like a superpower, because when you test, you get to find out, what people want before you build anything. You get to find out how people are going to use something before you actually invest in creating that something.
Yeah, and as I'm sitting there thinking about it, it's like one of the things that for years there was actually this debate in e-commerce stores of, when you add something to the shopping cart, do you then immediately take them to the cart page so that they can see that it was added? Or do you instead take them to leave them on the page that they were on, and maybe put a continue shopping button on there or something. And Amazon actually was the one that kind of pioneered this. At least they're the first ones that I saw where it's like, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to show you your shopping cart, and then at the bottom of that, we're also going to show you some other stuff that maybe relates to that product, so that you can continue shopping and it's a natural flow.
Yeah.
But you can also be like, I get it. My stuff was added to the shopping cart, and that's all I wanted. I'm ready to check out.
Yeah, and I like how you communicated that, because at the end, it feels a lot like you going to a store and literally putting things in your shopping cart, and then eventually going to the checkout and buying things and leaving. Right? There's a really good natural flow to it on Amazon, especially. And I think a lot of the other platforms like Shopify, WooCommerce, by and large, they do a decent job of that.
The technology over the last number of years has improved tremendously to allow small companies to mimic what Amazon is doing.
Yeah, which is great. So before we go, a couple more questions. What are your thoughts on AI and chatbots and how they can help e-commerce? And then a little bit more about like some of the ways that you're helping e-commerce stores and how someone can get in touch with you. But first, let's talk about bots.
Okay. Do you want me to address that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that bots are something that are really important for small business owners to be looking at, because the fact is that the technology for humans to interact with machines has also improved tremendously over the last few years. And, this is a virtual employee, basically. Someone's asking a question and the machine is able to answer it. And in many cases, the machine is able to answer, I don't know what the percentage is right now. You probably have a better idea of that. But the machine is able to answer people's questions without you involving another human being in a large number of cases. And if that's the case, then you really ought to have that technology available to people, because like I said, the whole reason why you're trying to what you're trying to do is provide enough information to the potential customer to make a buying decision. And if they have questions, it's great to be able for them to type into a chat box or speak into a chat box or whatever, and have a virtual employee come up and provide that answer immediately.
Right. So
can I do that for tech support too?
You can. A lot of tech support now is leveraging chatbots.
Yeah.
So a couple of things regarding what you said. So yes, it's like a 24/7 virtual employee that could answer the most simple questions. So it's kind of like really simple FAQ, if you will. So that's one of the things that's really great about bots. Now, some of the ways that we're using them for our stores is that we're putting a checkbox plugin, which sits right underneath the add to cart button on a product page. So let's imagine that you go to a page and you see this shirt, right? And you could buy it for, let's say, $20 or whatever it costs. And you have the checkout button right here. Right underneath the checkout button, we have a little checkbox, a messenger checkbox that's checkmarked. And as soon as someone pushes that button, the add to cart button, we know it in the back end. And if the person purchases something, we'll send them a receipt right through Facebook Messenger, and then they'll have the opportunity to get updates on the shipping. Or your item's going to come in 1 week, your item's arriving today. When it arrives, it'll ask them for a review. It might ask them for a video review, and it'll also try to upsell them. So if you bought something, you're 33% more likely to buy another item. So you get your receipt, you're getting the shipping updates, you feel really good, and then we send you a coupon to buy something else similar, maybe matching sweatpants, right, or a matching hat, or the same shirt in red. Okay, whatever it may be in your case, whatever the upsell and the downsell is. Now let's say that the person doesn't buy, and they abandon the shopping cart. Now we know they didn't buy, so we send them a reminder right through Messenger. And the cool thing about Messenger right now is that the open rates are about 75%, and the click-through rates are 20 to 50%, much higher than email. And so that pushes up our conversion rates as well. So, and the interesting thing, the unintended like positive consequence is that since we're not asking for any information, we get a lot more people into this abandoned cart flow than you would just through email, because it doesn't ask for the person's information. Since it's Messenger, they already know who the person is. So those are some of the early successes that we're seeing. Upselling, and then obviously abandoned carts, and then we have a few others. Shipping Q&A. I've heard so many store owners say, "Hey, I'm so sick of customers asking me when is this package going to arrive?" Because
yeah, and shipping is another one of those things that is a real pain point for most shop owners, because you're competing with Amazon, which for Prime members gives everybody free shipping.
Exactly.
Free shipping is something that can vastly increase your sales, but most small store owners simply can't afford to do that. So having a bot in there to kind of answer the questions for people, I think, can go a long ways towards alleviating that.
Right. And the other thing is that one of the things that we can do, that we will do in the future through experimentation, is now once someone has abandoned their cart, the first message could be something like, "Hey, you just abandoned your cart. Don't forget, here's your opportunity to purchase again, to complete your purchase." Now, the second reminder could give them a discount. The third reminder could give them a discount and ask them what's holding them back. And I think, by and large, one of the biggest reasons is the cost of shipping. So if they say, what's holding you back, and you have one option that's shipping costs too much, prices, product is too expensive, whatever their reason is, as soon as they push that button and they give us that information that, hey, I'm not buying this item because the shipping is $10 and I don't want to spend $10 on shipping, or it costs more than I thought it would cost, then what we can do is we can just automatically say, okay, great, we'll give you free shipping, right?
Yeah.
And you give
have it come back with a message. Well, did you know that if you added another $10 to your cart, that then shipping would be free?
Right. There you go. Yeah, I like that just as much, if not better. Okay, Greg. So if people want to find out more about you and how you can help them, where should they go? Where can they follow you? Where can they follow up with you?
I'm going to give you two different places where they can go. One is my main website is just webstoresltd.com. So that's webstores, plural, limited.com. If people want to, and I've got a blog on that website and all of those things. If people want to just connect with me individually, I've got a personal website. It's gregjameson.com. Okay. And if you /connect, then it's got all my social media profiles and links to my blogs and podcasts and every way in the world of connecting with me on that one page. So makes it pretty easy.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks for being a part of this and sharing your wisdom and your insights. Also, guys, if you want to learn more about GoBeyond, go to GoBeyond.ai, and you can learn everything there. And for Greg, you can just go to his websites and follow up with him accordingly. Thank you, Greg, and have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you, Stefan.
Bye, everybody.